Hello readers, I'm Amy, and I'm going to go ahead and do a get ready with me, which I haven't done on here before. I'm just feeling chatty today. I've actually already worn makeup and gone out and done my errands, but I've been in a really big makeup mood lately, so I'll wear like 2 different kinds of eyeshadows in a day just because I can. So, let's get to it. Also, anyone else notice that people with makeup channels never wear their glasses with their final makeup look? I'm like, I can't do contacts every day. Sometimes I just need to wear my glasses. It's easier on my eyes. But yeah, I just want to do a chatty thing. I've been wanting to do a video on trigger warnings, and I feel like this is my chance. I'm going to get started with the Tarte Shape Tape. I just put it on my red areas. Hopefully I can do this like one-handed and with a mirror and looking at the camera, and I don't know how makeup people do this, but we're going to give it a try. So, I am going to have to link all of the videos down below in the description because I cannot remember all of the videos that have been done. What Victoria Red did one. Yes, I do my mustache line. What Victoria Red did a video a while back, and then Kaz from Cats in Camera did one like last year that initially got this on my mind. And there was one other person, and for the life of me I cannot remember who it was who did a video. But they've all got like different takes on trigger warnings and what counts as a trigger warning, what should be included as a trigger warning, and I've got opinions too, so I figured I'd share that. So yeah, thought I'd go ahead and insert my opinion here. Not that anyone asked for it, but here we are. A lot of makeup channels have been doing the eyeshadow before foundation thing. I do that sometimes depending on my mood. Today I think I'm going to go ahead and do the eyeshadow first. I tend to do eyeshadow first if it's going to be a dark look, and I've been feeling kind of green with my eyeshadow this afternoon, so we're going to go for that. I've got the Anastasia eye primer. I don't have like a regular face primer, but I'm liking the eye primer. It's kind of keeping things in place for me. So, trigger warnings. Why don't books have trigger warnings? That is an interesting question. I don't think anyone has the answer to that. Movies have trigger warnings all the time. You know, you've got that little insert before the movie that's like the federal regulations are telling you that this book has sex and violence and strong language, which strong language I don't think strong language really needs much of a trigger warning. I guess it kind of depends on the language. Although, no. I bet they include, like, racist terms under the strong language, so never mind. Forget that I said that part. Language doesn't tend to bother me that much. If it's racist language, yes. But, I mean, I guess language is also kind of a religious thing. You don't want any kind of strong language if it's a religious thing, so okay, yeah. But why is it that a movie will have a strong language warning or a violence warning or any kind of trigger warning, but a book won't? Because a book can also have a very strong impact. Me personally, I going to mostly use this eyeshadow palette. I also got the miniature James Charles so I can play around a little more with color. And I was in a blue and yellow mood on the day that I got this, but I like never use it because blue is interesting. When it comes to books, the only thing that really bothers me generally is bugs. I can't do bugs. There was Michael Crichton's Micro that really, really freaked me out. Had this scene with a bug that I can't even talk about to most people because it freaks me out so much. And The Troop by Nick Cutter is a book that gets discussed a lot, and I would honestly be really interested in reading that. I've been in a horror mood lately. I would like to read some Nick Cutter, but The Troop, I know, has a thing with bugs in it, and I've just been very squeamish about bugs in the last couple of years. I don't think there was a particular triggering event. That's just what gets to me. Also been super into horror movies lately, but you're not going to watch me or see me watching like The Human Centipede or something. Not my jam. But bugs are not something that get a trigger warning in books usually. You can kind of better tell with movies, like they'll have something on the cover or they'll have something in the description, but books aren't as forward with the bug discussion. So what would you and would you not count as something that is worth having a trigger warning? The other thing that comes up with trigger warnings that I think is interesting is that a lot of people consider trigger warnings to be spoilers. I think this is interesting. Victoria had a really great point where saying what part of a book something takes place in could be a spoiler, but saying that a triggering event happens in the book is not a spoiler. I don't disagree with her. I think that's a great point to make. I personally think that a trigger being a spoiler warning could kind of depend on who you are and how you feel about spoilers. Generally speaking, I would say that a trigger warning should not be considered a spoiler because people can't really control what they're triggered by. However, I'm also someone, I don't really care if you spoil me for a book or a movie. I'm not going to be mad about it. I spoil myself for movies and books while I'm watching them and while I'm reading them because I just really want to know, and I'm an impatient person and can't wait, and it drives everyone nuts when I spoil myself for things. But I'm like, I don't care if I'm spoiled. It's not a big deal to me, but other people will just throw a big fit if they're spoiled for something. Most people really get upset about spoilers. So for them it might be, oh, there's some child abuse in this book, well, you just gave away part of it, and now I'm upset with you. But again, that could be easily triggering someone, so you would want to know that beforehand, like going in. When it comes to what is a trigger, I definitely think there should be some things that we don't and some things we do. Like, bugs for me are a trigger. They make me squeamish. They're squirmy and gross, but I think most people really aren't going to mind reading that so much. So that's one that's not really going to affect me personally. If the book doesn't say, hey, trigger warning for bugs, like, I'll be fine. I'm not overly traumatized in too many ways. I have a decent enough mental health that I can take it, but that's not everyone. Some people are going to be super triggered. One thing that does annoy me with trigger warnings is if someone goes into, if someone goes into like a book review or something, or if they're talking in their video and they're like, hey, trigger warning for character death. That to me is a spoiler because I recognize how certain kinds of death can be triggering. For example, I would definitely want to see books do warnings for suicide, if that's included. Homicide, not necessarily, because there's different ways it can be done. If you're triggered by child abuse and that led to a death, then you definitely, no matter what, you want to say, hey, this book has child abuse in it. But character death in general it's a very general statement. I think it's definitely a spoiler warning because you know that people are going to die in that book, and character death is something that most people will get really upset if they know about before reading a book or watching a movie because they're like, hey, you spoiled it for me. And when it comes to character death, I am someone who is very much of the mind that, again, depending on the kind of death, but death happens. Everyone in the world will die. That's just how the world works. So having character death be a trigger warning, I'm just like, that's something that you have to get used to. That's something, I guess I shouldn't say you have to get used to it. I mean, I'm not here to dictate your life and what you will and won't get used to. But you have to know that death will happen. You will die, your friends and family will die, everyone in this world is going to die eventually, and to be triggered by that idea just kind of bothers me. Controversial opinion there. And you do you. If you're triggered by a character death if you want to know that ahead of time. I am not here to judge that. That is my opinion now. That opinion could very well change in the future. By all means, I am open to a discussion down below, and I am also not the one that dictates trigger warnings. So these are all my opinions, and don't think that I'm judging anyone for their triggers, because that is no one's place to judge. A little bit on the makeup. I am going to try and do like a kind of my take on a reverse cut crease, because that's what I feel like doing. And most of my palettes today actually have mirrors, and this seems to be going well. I hope that the camera can see what I'm doing. More on trigger warnings. What else can I say about trigger warnings? I feel like if this video ends with me looking like I got a black eye or something, that would go along with the video pretty well. That's kind of what happens whenever I try a green, a blue, or a purple eyeshadow. I end up looking like I've been punched. It's not a great look. There have been some books that I know of that'll be in like the author note beforehand or something. They'll be like, hey, just so you know, there's this stuff taking place in this book that I want you to know about, and I think that's great. However, I also don't think that that is on that, I mean, it is on the authors, but it shouldn't be on the authors to warn their readers, their audience, about what's in the book. It should be on the publishers. Just like standardize it among the publishers like you would among movies. And just, you know, you have those here's an idea. You have those stupid little stickers that go on the front of books that everyone hates. Like, now it's a major motion picture. This is a New York Times bestseller. Or this book is on sale. Like, instead of having an advertising sticker on the front of a book, if you have to have a either stuck-on sticker or a part of the book cover sticker, like if we're going to continue to do the stickers on the front of book covers that everyone hates, make it a sticker that's a trigger warning and telling you kind of what's involved in the book. Or maybe if that's too spoilery, to have it on the cover, what you could also do is standardize it to be on the inside cover. So like if someone is not a person that is easily triggered, then they just wouldn't look at the very, very inside cover of a paperback or something. Like, they could just skip that. They would know that the trigger warning's there, but they could be like, I'm not particularly triggered by anything. I think that this would spoil me, so I'm not going to read it. But if you have someone who is triggered by a lot of things, or by very specific things, and they could look at the inside cover and be like, oh, this book has a trigger warning for suicide. I don't think I'm going to pick it up. Like, would it be that hard? I don't know. Also, who would be in charge of all this? Like, I know you have, like, the movie something or other of America, something that kind of standardizes movie warnings and everything. Who would be in charge of that for books? Would you have, like, a group that would look at all the books and make sure that they have the warnings? Would they individualize it by publisher? I don't know. Something to think about. That's pretty much what I have to say on trigger warnings. Is it blurring out like every time I work on my eye? Those are kind of my thoughts on trigger warnings. I don't know that I have that much else to contribute to that conversation, so I guess I can just spend the rest of this video being chatty. Anyone want some life updates, I guess? Vampathon. If you don't know yet, October 1st to 31st, I'm doing Vampathon. I'm the host. I'm co-hosting it with Demi from the Weird Collection. She is my in real life friend. I love her. She did a fantastic video for Vampathon. If you're into toothless vampire dogs, check her out. And Taylor from Page Screen Taylor is my other co-host. So we have our group book, which is the Gilda Stories. It is a black queer vampire book. I can't even remember the synopsis. It's sitting over on my bookshelf, but I know that's one that I've been excited to read. And we have 4 prompts. We are doing a book that you want to sink your teeth into. So that's like, hey, if you're excited to read a book and it includes a vampire, then that will work for this. I tried to keep it really easy with the prompts because there are so many spooky October readathons that, you know, I want to have some room to maneuver in there so that more people would want to join because they don't feel like it'll be, say, interrupting their other readathons that they might be participating in. The second prompt is going to be classic vampires, which classic, I forgot to point this out in my announcement video for Vampathon. For classic vampire, I'm thinking not just like a classic book on vampires like Dracula or Carmilla. I was also thinking a classic take on vampires. So if you're reading a book from 2020 that has a Dracula-esque vampire, it's not sparkly, it's not anything super fancy, then count that for your classic vampire. I don't care. I'm not policing the prompts or anything. Next one, non-traditional vampire, which I am counting queer vampires in that because the literature that kind of set the stage for vampires tends to feel very heterosexual. So, hey, if you read the group book, then you're already fulfilling at least one prompt. A second prompt if it's a book you want to sink your teeth into. Non-traditional vampire for me, I'm actually going to borrow Demi's copy of Bunnicula. I remember seeing that around a lot when I was a kid. I don't remember if I ever actually read it, but I saw it around, and it is a vampire bunny, and that just sounds hilarious and fun. It's supposed to be this really short, like, kind of children's classic, so it shouldn't take me too long to read either. I am totally not in frame when I'm doing that. I don't get how makeup people do this. Holding a mirror in one hand and a brush in the other is so uncomfortable. I do not understand. Also, I am by no means a master of the cut crease. I like a lot of people with cut creases will talk about making your line and then working your way down. I actually like starting on the bottom for my cut creases and working my way up. I think it's just a little more beginner friendly, and then like if you open your eye, you can see kind of where your eyelid naturally sticks because you know that whatever glittery shadow you put over it is going to go into that area anyways. So you might as well carve it out. And, fourth prompt for Vampathon is, oh my gosh, Old Legends. Old Legends. So it's, hello buddy, it's gonna be just like a short story or a novella. If you can find a nonfiction essay on vampires in vampire books and throughout history and stuff, then like, good for you. Read that. I'm totally butchering this side, but whatever. So if anyone is interested in reading some vampire books or joining a spooky readathon, you know where to look. So many of them on Twitter. I kind of want to join Screamathon because I recently started getting into horror movies and I love the Scream movies. My favorites actually go in order that they were made, but I really loved those. I don't know what it is with me in horror this year. It's become my new thing. Screamathon has, what, are they one of those readathons that has like teams or something that you can be on? I don't know. It's this whole intricate thing. They've got a ton of prompts. It might be a little too much for me to take on right now, but I think it sounds really fun. Also, something I forgot to point out in my last reading wrap-up, I don't know that I've actually posted it yet, so I might just put in a little note from editing me in there, But I forgot to mention that I did read Dracula again this year. It was actually Victoria got a hold of me and she's like, hey, the Goth Lit Club is looking for someone to co-host their live show, and they're reading Dracula this month, and I think you'd be perfect for that. So of course I applied, and I got it. It was awesome. We did it the day after my birthday. I got to do the live show, and it was so much fun. I was nervous about going live. I haven't gone live before, but it was really just like doing a Google Hangout with anyone, except you could see the little comments section where people are commenting live. And next month, the Goth Lit Club is reading The Haunting of Hill House, which is another one that I've been wanting to read that. I didn't like We Have Always Lived in the Castle by the same author, but Haunting of Hill House looks interesting. Whenever it comes to shimmery shades, I like to use my finger. It turns out better that way. Anyways, Haunting of Hill House, I'll definitely be reading that. I got that on audiobook. I feel like that should be really great for like setting the mood, just listening to a spooky audiobook. What else have I been up to lately? Been watching other horror movies. I watched Halloween last night, and that's one of those, it's a slasher film. I've been terrified to watch it like my whole life, because like I said, until this year, I was not into horror movies at all. But I ended up watching Halloween last night, and it was so boring. Nothing happens in that movie. Like, you're following this guy kind of stalking these women throughout the whole movie. Nothing really happens. He's just standing there. He's not really doing anything. He's not an action. It's not an action-packed movie by any means. So don't get too excited about that. What else? We watched Devil. I don't know if any of you have seen that. Was it on Amazon? And you have these, like, 5 people get into an elevator. And I think it had some, like, racist tropiness to it, because the person who's narrating it is Mexican, Latino of some kind. I'm pretty sure he was Mexican. And he's like, my mom always told me about Satan and the devil growing up, and then he's trying to convince all of these people that it has to do with Satan, and it's like, of course it's the person of color and his cultural superstitions who's informing this movie. Like, of course. But anyways, you follow these people onto this elevator, and people start dying, and you're trying to figure out, is it the devil? Is it some kind of crazy murder plot? Like, they're all stuck in this elevator, and you have people, the security guy is watching them on camera, being like, what's going on? Why is this happening? Why isn't the elevator working? It was decent. Again, I wasn't super into the racist trope of it. And some of the writing it was a really good idea. I think as a movie, it could have been a little more interesting in its making. But it was fine. Like, I'm not mad that I watched it, you know. Got on Facebook, I was talking about how boring Halloween was, and everyone's like, well, just remember, it's from the 70s. People said the same thing on Twitter. They're like, it's from the 70s. You gotta put yourself in the state of mind for that time. But I'm like, even putting myself in the state of mind, Halloween is so boring. And I haven't looked into the mechanics of old movies. I am getting more interested in film, but I don't know that that's something I'm ever really going to study or look deeply into. The camera shows I kind of look like I got punched in the eye, but I think it looks cool in my mirror. Also, I'm kind of getting this, like, basset hound sad eye look going on. What is that? Anyways, I haven't looked into movie techniques and how they've changed throughout the years, so I don't know what Halloween did for horror. Apparently it did a lot. This is the Stila liner. I don't love paying this much for an eyeliner, but I do love this eyeliner. It's not going to focus. Okay. So, anyway, as I was saying, I got on Facebook and was talking about it. And actually, Demi, again, recommended I watch 13 Ghosts. Apparently it's one of her favorite horror movies. I hadn't heard of it. My husband had watched it in like middle school, but it's been a long time since he's seen it, and apparently everyone's like, hey, you need to watch 13 Ghosts. I think you'd like it. Also, it's really hard to talk when you're doing makeup. Like, just breathing moves the mirror. I do the things that people say not to do, and I start out here with my eyeliner. That's terrible habits, but bad habits die hard. Also, my liner is always crooked. Like, I can never make it look the same. My wing will never look the same on both sides. Do beauty tubers just have a giant mirror inside their ring lights that they look at? Also, the slightest wrinkle on your eye can really just screw this up. Ignore the green spots on my cheeks. I'll take care of that later. I also watched Ready or Not recently. That's like the hide and seek slasher film. It was so good. I start off, I'm watching the movie, and as it goes, I'm like, yeah, this is decent. I like this. This is fun. This family's insane, but it's a good movie. And then I get to the end of the movie, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So good! So, recommend that if you're at all into, like, slasher films and stuff. It's bloody, definitely, but there's only, like, 2 jump scares, and they're pretty mild. I'll tell you right now, I am not a jump scare person at all. So, don't be too freaked out when I say that there's jump scares in this movie. They're pretty low-key. In the camera, I'm getting, like, the sad basset hound type eye look. I think it's because I have the dark right in here. But in the mirror, I like it. Now, I'm gonna wash my fingers off really quick, so be back in a second. Alright, I've got this ridiculously expensive overpriced... Come on. There we go. Ridiculously overpriced Lancome foundation. Someone had recommended it to me whenever I was shopping for my wedding, and I've just been buying this foundation ever since. It fits me really nicely. I don't put the foundation directly on my face. I like to put it on my beauty blender. That's just what's more comfortable for me, I guess. You can still see the purple from my lipstick earlier. That's the other thing. If you're filming like multiple videos, if I'm filming multiple booktube videos in a day, like I am today, then I like switching up my look and like not wearing the same outfit or not wearing the same eyeshadow. Like, a lot of my thumbnail pictures otherwise will look a little repetitive. Yes, I have bangs, and yes, I still do my forehead. Anyone else super into horror movies this year? Did not grow up liking them. I watched 10 minutes of The Exorcist when I was 16 and had my dad sleep in my bedroom for the rest of that week while I slept upstairs with Mom because I wanted company. Hi, buddy. I feel like this year you need something to distract you from all the horribleness of life, and watching horror movies seems to be one of those coping skills for me. Dimitri, you don't need more eyeliner. You're good, buddy. I have this NYX eyebrow pencil. Again, you can't really see it. I didn't used to wear eyebrow pencil at all. I've got a lot of eyebrow. I grew up being kind of frustrated with all of my eyebrow and wanting to have less eyebrow. Now I just manage some of the unibrow hairs, but I had watched Mikey from Glam and Gore. I think she's so much fun. She did a video a little while back, like when COVID was first really getting going, and she did a video on the next eyebrow trend where she's just having fun with her eyebrows. Mikey is a redhead. She's kind of got the invisibrow thing going on, and as per usual for Mikey, she shaved off her eyebrows in the video, and she did like reptile brows and tiger brows. She was talking about tiger brows because it related to Tiger King, and was kind of talking about that a little bit. And then she finished off the video drawing on her eyebrows and just taking cuts out of them and putting little rhinestones in there. And I thought that was a really cute look. And the day that I watched that video, I went back to the bathroom and I think I made this eyebrow cut. And then kind of let it sit for a day, and then I put in my second one. It's kind of tricky when you have as much eyebrow hair as I do. But I trimmed it a little, I tweezed it a little, I trimmed it a little, and I really like how it turned out. And then I've been using mascara to kind of get all my hairs going in the right direction, and everything, and I'm like, maybe I should try out an eyebrow pencil. This might be the time for it. And I love the eyebrow pencil so much. I don't know why the cats are getting upset at each other. I've had the door closed, so the cats have been trapped in here because the washing machine is on and creates some funky background noise, but I opened it up now, so hopefully they will be alright. My cats don't love each other. I see all these cute pictures. This is going to be a super rambly video. I see all these cute pictures of everyone's cats taking naps together and everything, cuddling up to each other, and my cats got used to each other eventually when I introduced them, but they have never loved each other. Sometimes, like once every couple of months, they'll lay down next to each other on the couch, and one of them will clean the other's ears. But that's about it. Dimitri actually has this fun habit. Whenever he's using the litter box, you'll see him come rocketing out. So we have a hooded litter box to kind of keep the smell in, and so people don't have to look at the litter box whenever they come to our house. And he will rocket right out of the hole that you use to go into the litter box, because sometimes Amadeus will hide outside the litter box and chase him as soon as he exits. I just got the NYX Control Freak. It's like a clear eyebrow gel, just to kind of, again, give my eyebrows some direction, because sometimes I get the crazy brow going on. But yeah, that's my cat life. They don't really like each other that much. They like each other fine, maybe, but they don't love each other. And I'll just have to accept the fact that I'm not going to get the two cute, cuddly kitty friends. It's just not going to happen. We've tried. What else? My husband started a whole list of horror movies that I guess we're going to watch next month. So that'll be exciting. And I've actually already started the horror movie stuff this month, because I'm like, we should watch this, and we should watch this, and we should watch that other thing. I did also watch An American Werewolf in London. That's one that Chris has kind of been hyping me up for. So I finally watch it, and the movie itself is fine. You have an American, he's in England, he's a werewolf. Sorry if that's a spoiler alert for anyone, but it is called An American Werewolf in London. And the movie itself was fine. But the music, the soundtrack did not go with that movie at all, I think, personally. I just changed my battery for the third time, so I should probably try and wrap this up. I've just got a lot going on my floor here. Where is my blush brush? I have this Tarte blush. I don't know what's up with my focus today. I am super interested in that Rare Beauty, liquid blush. I've never used liquid blush before. I'll probably pick it up at some point. How do I still have green on my face? I'll probably pick up that blush at some point, but I am trying to go through the blush that I have. I've had this Tarte blush since my wedding, 2.5 years ago, a little over 2.5 years ago, so it is probably about time to get something new. Not that I have to get something new. I mean, makeup is not something that I desperately need in my life, but it's fun. I go across my nose. I've liked doing, apparently it's called an e-girl look, where you kind of go across the top of the nose and across the face. I will say, though, my blush has not shown up great in videos, which would be another reason to get something more pigmented. But, looking in the mirror right now, that is pretty pigmented. Wonder how beauty tubers deal with that, having makeup look so different in person versus in real life. I'm not going to do eyelashes because, like I said, I've changed my battery how many times. Highlighter also is not something that necessarily shows up super well in videos. It could also just have to do with the highlighter that I am using. I just have a cheap Makeup Revolution highlighter. It used to have this pretty swirly pattern on the inside, and it's still kind of got that pretty swirly pattern. Yeah, I hadn't used highlighter before, so a friend helped me pick this out, and I'm like, highlighter is fun. So I have a good time with that. Sometimes I do contour, sometimes, but it's more if I'm in a playful mood than anything else. I'm not big on contour. I don't think it does a ton for me, but like I still want to play around with it. What was I just gonna do? Lips! That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for my lip gloss. I picked up 2 different lip glosses. I have like 2 mason jars of lipsticks that are on this little mason jar wood thing in my bathroom. I have way too many lipsticks, especially considering we're in a pandemic and wearing masks. And if you wear a mask and you wear lipstick, disaster. This color is a little bit light for me, so I think I can experiment with like an ombre thing. I don't usually wear lip liner. I do have lip liner, but I wear enough liquid lipsticks that liquid lipstick kind of lines itself. I haven't really done an ombre lip before. I do inevitably end up overlining my lips in a lot of areas. Anyone else find that if you follow your exact lip line, you end up being crooked? Or is that just a me thing? It's probably an everyone thing. I assume everyone has a little bit of asymmetry in their faces. I think we're gonna call it. I am pretty happy with this in person. Not so happy with this in the camera. I'm liking green eyeshadow though. If I use blue eyeshadow, half the time it's a disaster, but green eyeshadow, I can make that work. That was it for the Get Ready With Me. I hope that you enjoyed this. It was just chatty and random and started off with trigger warnings, and then I'm like, well, I don't have anything else to talk about. So if you like this, then please like, subscribe, be my friend on social media. I'm a cool person, I promise. And I will see all of you in my next video. Bye, friends.